Hey, everybody, I'm Mike,
I'm Bob.
and this is the Board Game Rundown. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday, January 1st edition. Happy New Year. Our first Whiskey Wednesday on the first day of 2025. Cheers to everybody. Salud. Hope
Right.
you have had a great New Year's Eve, and good luck to you in the new year.
That's right.
Bob, I know I asked you this question earlier because I saw you earlier today.
You did.
You watched my dog while I went and did some shenanigans, but
Yeah. She was
for
mostly a
everybody,
good girl.
mostly, well, I
Mostly.
know.
She's a sweetheart, though.
I appreciate you that you're still willing to watch her so that I can still go do shenanigans.
hmm
We'll say hi to some people, but why don't you tell everybody what you did last night?
Well, I had some buddies over. We played Magic for a little while, and then we played Clank Catacombs. We used the brand new, I believe it's called Catacombs and Layers expansion, along with the I think it's the Adventuring Party expansion where you had the asymmetrical characters and they had their asymmetrical
Mm-hmm.
decks. And it took a while. There was four of us playing. It did end up taking like a little over 2 hours.
Wow.
That was a little unfortunate. I mean, there was some stopping and some talking and whatnot, but it did take a while, which is unfortunate. Because we were
Yeah,
hoping to play some other stuff also, but that game just ran so long that yeah. But it was a high
yeah.
scoring game. There was a lot of exploring going on.
I was gonna say that you had a lot of people playing the long game. If you got a game that goes 2.5 hours,
Yeah. Like
so
it feels like we found two artifacts right away, and nobody wanted to pick up the low ones, and then it took a long time before we started to see more of them. Then all of a sudden, boom, 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 a bunch of them came out. So, but we had like
yeah.
4 or 5 way shrines on the board. So I mean, that tells you like how
Oh
long we
wow.
had 2 ghost tiles, a bunch of way
Okay.
shrines. So yeah, it was not like we weren't doing anything.
Yeah. I know you play that game a lot with that group, but I really need to play Clank Catacombs again. I love that game. I love that version of the game, and I'd
hmm
really like to try it with some asymmetric player powers.
Yeah,
Sounds
as
good.
much as I would like to do that with you, I'm gonna say no because next time we play Clank together, it needs to be Legacy so that we can
Yeah.
then get to my Legacy 2. Yeah, and you will still get your
Okay.
asymmetrical deck feeling going with you.
All right.
That, so
We should start that campaign relatively soon. I agree with you there.
yeah.
I said I'd say hi to people and I lied. Let's do that now. What's up, Nix? Nix is joining us on the new year. We got Jazz in the house. We got both of the Rossies with us.
Whoop, whoop, both the
Good
Rosies.
to see you guys. Eric from KB Games. Wayne from the Beans and Dice podcast, which, by the way, we are in talks to do a collaborative episode with them.
Beans and
We
rice.
did one on their channel, so if later this month, you should see Wayne and Carlos on our channel, which will be fun. And then you don't see Tim because, as many of you may know, Notre Dame was supposed to play a very important bowl game tonight, and then some shenanigans happened in New Orleans.
Yeah.
They decided to postpone that game, but Tim still made plans, which I can understand. He, Notre Dame football for him and his family is appointment viewing, so not going to bust his chops too much. So just so everybody knows, this isn't going to be like a super long stream. We're still going to rip through 10 games. But considering we already did a stream on Christmas Day, now we're doing one on New Year's Day. We wanted to keep the streak alive, but we're gonna rip through this list probably pretty quick. This will be like an hour, right around there. So
Yeah.
thin, lean,
That's right.
uh, right to the point tonight. So we'll see. We'll see how long we go here. Yes, Tim, doing the Lord's work here. Make sure you smash those thumbs. We all need them and appreciate them. Um, and it's great to see everybody.
Yeah.
Bob, what are you drinking on tonight?
I got the Maker's Mark. Little good old standby working. I didn't want anything too crazy. Probably only have like 1 or 2 more
Nice.
today. So, but it's been a nice day. Just doing some cleaning, straightening up
There you go.
laundry, dishes.
Okay. So I went up to the Firekeepers Casino in Battle Creek, Michigan. Met up with a friend of mine there, and they had like a huge like New Year's Eve party. So went up there. Actually ate a great buffet dinner consisting of prime rib, and then did not gamble. Actually, did not
Hour and a half for a
gamble.
casino to not gamble.
Yeah.
You have prime rib in South Bend too, Mike.
Well, I didn't pay for that prime rib,
That's
nor did I pay for the amazing breakfast I had this morning. And then the New Year's Eve party was pretty cool. Played a couple games that are new to me and will make the list, by the way.
okay.
And I got this bottle last night.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
So you
so
were a
uh,
bit rough today when I saw you.
I was a little bit, it's funny. I could tell I was drunk last night, but I was not as plowed as I thought I would be this morning because I did the majority of the damage here. But I gotta say, man, Bullet Rye, whew, for the price, this is a really, really solid bottle of whiskey. Eric with some good gaming in yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Some
Broken
crokinole, some billiards. I love to play pool as
Thunder
wait.
Road. Eric, when you played
Crokinole,
Thunder Road, did you get to use the Carnival of Chaos expansion?
great question. I don't think I've played. I'm assuming crokinole billiards is its own thing. Is that like crokinole with like bumpers on the board? Please let me know. I've
Yeah,
seen those
Mike could use some
boards.
bumpers on the board.
Uh,
That's like
I've heard
it's
great.
like when you do go bowling and they put the gutter like things
Yeah,
in there.
yeah. There you go. Prevent you
Right.
from going out of bounds.
Yep.
Um, what
Your
else?
first
Oh,
time playing. No
I've heard
expansion.
really good things about Lawyer Up. Sale looks interesting just because I love the Weberson Santiago art. I've heard good things about that, but haven't got a chance to play it.
Yeah, I like Marvel Champions, but I feel like you got to have the character decks built before you go to play. Otherwise, you can end up spending, 30, 45 minutes just trying to build the deck. And then you got to set up and play.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Steph saying hello from the other side of the world.
Morning from the
Hello.
future. Yeah, to the future.
I know. I was wondering, it could have been a missed comma in that he played crokinole and billiards, not
Right.
something called
I
crokinole
have
billiards.
a
Well,
mini pool stick. Huh.
okay. So crokinole billiards is a thing. See, that's what I thought.
Interesting.
That's what I thought. I need to look this up.
It's more like shuffleboard that way.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
you have
no
an
kidding.
instrument. Yeah. An object with which to poke.
All right. So Bob, is there anything you want to add before we actually, well,
Get into this.
let's go. I
Um,
suppose we might as well introduce our topic, but then I want to talk a little bit about like our plays for the year.
okay. Well, right now I have pulled up instead of just December, since I actually did my Christmas in on Thanksgiving, so like the week just before December, I did extend that out a little bit because, like I said, that was my Christmas time. Um,
I'll allow it.
yeah, thank you. But I did get 26 games played with 21 different people, so that's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, and not counting Pinochle, as the first year I decided to start tracking that. Not counting that one, I had 5 new to me games. So,
Okay. Nice.
mhm.
December was actually really good this year. It was a little down last year. I got 32 plays in for December. 20 different games, and 7 of which were new to me. Um, yeah, the irony here of Andrew in Ohio pointing out how the Buckeyes are stomping Oregon, and then Mr. Evan from from Portland, Oregon says hello. Sorry about that, Evan. I don't know if you care about Oregon's football team or not, but man, they are getting blown out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Um, Especially as the number one undefeated team in the league.
Uh,
Um,
so I would just say real quick, my 26 games did come out to 44 different plays.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got a lot of plays in then. Nice. I guess that's what happens when you cheat and include Thanksgiving. um,
I don't think
but
they added that much more, to be honest.
no, I gotta give you a hard time. Yeah, so Evan, not a football guy. So the irony there was too much. Like it was literally an Ohio guy followed by an Oregon guy, and they're playing each other. Like, how is that possible? Um, but yeah. Anyway, I do pay attention to that stuff, so it's intriguing. Unfortunately, that means we have to hear from the Ohio State fans for at least another week. So,
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part.
all right. So, real quick, then, Bob, let's talk about 2024 on BG Stats and what we logged. Amazingly for me, after logging 2 plays last night, I hit exactly 365 plays, which is my goal each year is to try to average a play per day, and I
Okay.
did that. Um, I played 182 different games and 144 new to me. That is actually the most new to me I've ever registered. That's 10 more than last year, even.
Unfortunately, my new to me is still kind of skewed because I don't have all the previous data from before. I mean, it's saying I have
Yeah.
139 new to me. I don't think that's completely accurate. Like I said, unfortunately, I've only got like 2 years of data. So any game that I didn't play last year that didn't get logged, but then played again this year got counted as new to me. So not
Oh,
quite.
right, right. Gotcha.
But I did
Um,
log 459 plays. So
wow.
yeah,
Okay, nicely done.
yep.
Yeah, that's crushing it there. Do you log Magic plays?
Nope.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Dang.
Yeah, I logged out like that one Pinnacle game is like the only other like other card game or whatever that
Right.
logged.
I like to try to get 400 plays in a year, but I started pretty slow. I was not doing a lot of gaming in January and February, and then it just ramped up really fast in March.
Yeah, I didn't do anything in March hardly. That was my slowest month.
Yeah, January and February were very, very slow for me. I feel like this year is going to be very different. I'm going to hit the ground running this year.
What was in January that like we had like
Hey, what's up, Mike?
weekend? Trying to
Thanks
figure
for joining us on New Year's Day.
locations.
Um, my most played game this year was Ahoy Kitten. 16 plays of Ahoy Kitten this year.
Wow.
And I did play it in December, but I decided to just leave it off of this list because we talk about it all the time. Everybody knows how much we love Ahoy Kitten. Um,
That was my number one played game this year too.
nice. How many plays?
20.
Wow, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up, Donnie? Happy New
Donnie!
Year to you, sir.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
So let's go ahead and intro this topic then. We decided, since this is our first Whiskey Wednesday of the new year, that we're going to do the top 10 games that we played in December. I did intentionally leave out games that I've talked about a lot. I'd like to infuse some new games into the discussion here. I'm even going to include one that we did a Kickstarter preview on. So you can't go out and buy that now, but that Kickstarter is going live in February. So something to keep your eyes out for when that goes live. What was the method behind your madness, Bob?
So my first priority was number of plays. So if I played a game like multiple times, I definitely give it more precedent because it was reached
Okay.
for, it was asked for.
Sure.
And then after that, I rank them more in like to a favorite, right? Like okay, I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed that one. But like my number one game is the game I played the most at 6 times, right? And then there's some
Okay.
threes and some twos, and yeah, a couple of games that I left off that we have been talking about a lot, like recently. Like I didn't put every single one on there, but these are just the constant heavy hitters, the ones hitting the table, the ones people are asking to play. So
Nice. Next, I got one game on this. Well, I got a couple games on this list that Tim will appreciate. I don't know necessarily that they're hipster
Yeah,
picks, but
not quite
well,
hipster, but definitely Tim appreciated. I'm sure.
one of them's out of print, so maybe that counts.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, there you go. It does. If it's out of print, I would say that counts.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. We're gonna go through 10 apiece. So I guess
Without further ado,
hold on. I don't have
killing these smalls.
I know I am killing us because
He's not ready.
where yeah, there we go. I was on the wrong spot. So we start with number 10.
All right. I haven't seen his name go by, so now is the time to say thank you to him while he's not here. But Mr. Chris, thank you so much for Da 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 because it has been such a hit.
Oh my God.
Everywhere I go, I play, I pull out. People are like, "What the heck is this game?" And then we're cracking up, we're laughing, and we're making stupid noises at each other. And it's been a hit all month. So,
All right, crossover. I had it at number 3. I enjoyed this game so much. So I'll just talk about it now and I'll make a substitution. Da Da Da, I busted out on Christmas Day, and I played this 3-player with my parents, and they had a freaking blast with that game. We were laughing so much playing that game. I cannot wait to play this with more people. It just works so well, and you can play it with anybody.
Yeah. My nieces thought it was fantastic. Like they're like, "Oh my God, this is hilarious." So
I want to make sure, since we've got the time to do this, I want to make sure this game gets the love that it deserves. So real quick here, I didn't have this screen even set up yet. How sad. There we go. That's the one, and I want us on that side. There you go.
Yeah.
Da 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 from the up. So this is such a goofy little game. You just put out these made up words. You're gonna put out 5 made up.
They're never words hardly.
Yeah, they're not real words. Yeah, and then you're gonna put out 13 pictures. You're gonna try to group all of the pictures together. So say for example, Bob and I go, Bob, the hamburger and the cupcake, Shaw. Shaw? Shaw. All right. So we can't say anything other than the words that you see on the screen. So only because I'm explaining this game was I able to say hamburger and cupcake.
You would just kind of point to the cards and then like point to the word. Yeah, you could say no. I think it's like no, Shaw. Bing, bing. Yeah.
And then so maybe I could go UFO and ship flow. So Bob's trying to think in his brain here, well, why am I grouping these together? Is it because a UFO and a ship are things that move, and because Sha is things that you can eat? And so that's the nature of this game. You got to group all of these things together. And just some of the just listening to this game being played is hilarious. Great pick. I was amazed at how well it went with my parents. My mom's pretty outgoing, and my dad is very introverted, and so I wasn't sure how this would go. And I think he got into it as much as my mom did. It was hilarious.
Nice.
So good pick on the number 10. I'll share your number 10 there.
All right.
We'll move to our number 9.
Number 9. Well, I'm gonna say unfortunately, but I probably gonna be a crossover on this one as well at some point in time. But we just played Thunder Road, the Carnival of Chaos expansion. I was a big fan of Thunder Road when it first came out. We played with like the motorcycles, the big rig, and all that kind of stuff. and the Carnival of Chaos adds this center area to the board where it just becomes like a demolition derby. And instead of everybody going straight, now you can actually turn and drive around these hexes, and you're trying to get super weapons, and you're literally just trying to shoot people until damaged to get scrap, or blowing things up and getting even more scrap. And yeah, we just had a blast like playing this game with experienced gamers and beginning gamers, and it was a good time. So definitely worth
Uh,
the expansion.
this was my number 3, so I will I'll make it my number 9. This expansion was so freaking good. I You and Tim definitely like the base game more than I do. And it's not that I don't like it. I love racing games. There's just other racing games I think are better. I would rather play Heat, Cubitos, Steampunk Rally, Flamme Rouge.
Mhm.
There's several others. And the one of the things about this game is that you're playing it and all these random things are happening and cars are bouncing off each other and you're ramping into you're jumping off ramps and you don't know how far you're going to go, and sometimes you'll blow up or sometimes you'll blow up on a helicopter, and all this crazy stuff is happening. And of course, like many racing games, you're kind of beating on the leader until one person sort of limps across the finish line, and it sort of creates this anticlimactic ending for me.
Hey, I
During the
climb out
game,
every time.
all this other stuff is going on, and then it's kind of like, oh well, we beat on everybody except for Bob, so he's now going to win by default. And that it's
I don't see
sort
what's
of,
wrong with that. I don't know.
yeah, it sort of loses its luster when you can see like the final round for me. But I felt like this expansion fixed that, because now you're just trying to do the most damage. If you damage someone, you get 2 scrap. If you destroy their car, you get 3 scrap. You're playing 6 rounds or until somebody gets completely eliminated from the game. And afterwards, you're going to count up the scrap, and whoever has the most wins. I feel like that win condition vastly improved the game and solve that little issue I had in the final round, because it could come down to the final die roll. If you're 2 scrap behind the leader and you're the last person to roll dice on an attack, and you roll the dice that allows you to destroy them and get the 3 scrap and win the game, this could make some really, really exciting moments at the end of this game. And so I thought it was a tremendous improvement over the base game. So but yeah, really good pick. We all really enjoyed playing this
Mhm.
expansion. So if you like Thunder Road, absolutely suggest you go pick up Carnival of Chaos expansion for this.
With the introduction of those hexes and the being able to like turn the way your vehicle is like going or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it would be interesting to see rallyman type courses that you can now build for this. So instead of just being like
Oh,
one straightaway race or the demolition derby, you could actually have a track where you're racing and doing laps. You could actually have like some cars kind of almost like sitting, waiting for like the leader to come by so you can try to take them out.
yeah.
And like I would maybe nerf the helicopters a little bit so they don't quite destroy areas. So maybe just slows down the leader so you can catch up to them, like some sort of a catch up mechanic type of a thing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I like that. All right, there you go. So crossover again on our number 9. Maybe we can be more original on number 8.
The problem is, Mike, some of these games I only played one time. Is the one time I played was with you, but I still had a good time
Yeah.
playing. Even though I played with you, that they made my list, and this next one is another one of those games. Um, so Andromeda's Edge is fantastic. We played this and did a review with it. Played it a couple of times, and like it was tough to learn from the rule book, but once we got it figured out, it's really good. It's got awesome table presence. The box art is of the top 3 box arts that we figured that out on the full 42 on Monday.
Correct.
Um, but yeah, these minis are just crazy. Like the buildings you put out there
Yeah.
with your little leader guys plugging in them, so you can tell whose color they are. The modules you're building off the side of your player board. So when you do your recall action, you're pulling your things back one at a time. You're activating these in certain ways and trying to maximize that engine building. I mean, it's fantastic. I want to play this game again soon. It's almost unfortunate we have a bunch of other games that we have to play, and we probably won't be able to play this game for a little while. But I would definitely like to play this game sooner rather than later.
Um, I agree with you because it was my number one for this list. I
Damn.
I freaking love this game.
Yeah.
Now, I was already a big fan of Dwellings of Eldervale, and
Mm-hmm.
I own a copy, and I've played that a handful of times. And then everybody said this improves Dwellings, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I agree that this improves
Yeah.
Dwellings. Um, I'll go ahead and make my comparisons real quick here because like I said, I've played Dwellings a handful of times. Um, so a couple things that they changed in this. So the board is populated. I hate how this zooms in like so far, but the way the board is populated is that these tiles go to specific areas. So first here, then here, and so they fill in a predictable order. In Dwellings, you could place a new tile wherever you wanted, as long as it was touching one other hex. So you could put it closer to where you've already deployed your workers. And so that was like a strategic element of that game, was exploring in areas where other players could not get to on that turn. Um, and the way that they do exploration in this game, in Dwellings, there's an actual tile on the board. They call them the bases. And so the bases are the tiles that are in every game you play. That's these very basic actions that you get to perform. Um, and then you have like these elemental planets that start coming out. The bases all do the same things each time, but in Dwellings, there's a base that you use that allows you to explore and buy a card. It's one base and that's its ability. But what Andromeda's Edge does that's way different is it actually has this. I had to zoom out to find it. It's got this like track here, and every time you go to one of these bases that has this like kind of
Exclamation point.
triangle with an exclamation point on it, this marker moves up. It's like the event track. Well, as soon as you go all the way around the event track, you're going to draw this card. It's going to have a
And effect.
scoring that happens based on how far you are up the tracks here. But that is how tiles are drawn. It's it paces the game better
Yeah.
because in Dwelling, sometimes what happened is uh, exploration was one of the ways you could end the game. So if somebody just kept putting tiles out, you could get an anticlimactic finish because somebody decided to just put all of the tiles on the board as fast as possible. Now this thing has to go around so many times before tiles come out, and I think it would be very tough to end the game. The game doesn't end based on this anymore. The game now ends based off of reaching a specific scoring threshold, and that's why each one of these cards has scores, different ways of scoring built into them based on how high you are up the tracks. Another great thing, the tracks have abilities now. That is just a plus in any game. There should just be no more games where tracks don't have abilities on them anymore.
No more
We've
arbitrary
learned
tracks.
Yes, we've learned when Gaia Project improved upon Terra Mystica that tracks with abilities are better.
Yeah.
And so they did the same thing here. Uh, your ability to build certain buildings is linked to getting up to the second mark of this track. That event marker will go up based on getting certain parts of the track. And you can upgrade some of your ships based on spots on the track.
Makes your buildings worth more points.
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, I'll talk about, and then I'll end my rant on this terrific game, is these cards that you can buy for your recall engine. It is so much easier now to build a strong recall engine. That was such a cool idea in dwellings, but it was hard to maximize it. You just didn't always get to use all of the cards you had in your recall. But now you get to add these cards to the side of your board. You can spend a resource to activate them as long as you have activated that row with one of your ships. And your green row over here, if I can get back over there, and your green row now, if you just put your ship on this one, every green card sitting next to it activates. So the recall engine is so much stronger in this game. Um, End rant on Andromeda's Edge. This was one of my favorite games that came out this year. It is worth the time it takes to set it up and play. It improved dwellings in every way possible. I really enjoyed this. So if you like dwellings or if you like worker placement with some heft or with some conflict, this is definitely one to check out. Strong recommend.
Yeah, I've only played Dwellings a couple of times, but I definitely think this one was way better. I didn't feel nearly as limited with where I could put my people.
Yeah.
I felt like I could just do a lot more with it, and yeah, I think it's definitely the better game. So.
Yeah, it is. For what I've seen, it's definitely intimidating.
Yeah,
Uh,
Dave. If you can watch a video, watch a video. Um, the book is so hard to just to spar like to parse out. Like, and then the component shot. I was complaining about this on Monday. Like, it's all just like a scattering, and it's just hard to tell and pick and tell like which things are which parts and pieces, and like are these the nebula ones or are these other ones? Especially like being colorblind, I just had such a hard time deciphering the components and getting everything done. But like I said, once we got it figured out and we got the gameplay down, you don't need that rule book anymore. It's really good. So
I don't know why I like to do this live sometimes, but our review is live. I did score it a 9 in that review, and so I like to make sure my BGG ratings match up with that. Strong recommend. Also, amazing box art. Sergio Chavez,
yep.
up and comer in the industry, crushed it on this box cover. Happy New Year to you, Justin. So there you go. That is once again a shared pick, but I expected that to be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try once again to see if we can be more original with our number
Sure.
7.
Sure. All right. So I'm going to change my number 7 because while you have played this game quite a bit, I didn't play it with you during this point in time. I played
Okay.
it at a Meeple meetup, taught some new people how to play it, and they really enjoyed it. It was probably my favorite game I got at Gen Con this year, but Loot is
Yes.
fantastic. It's
Yep.
you got 2 little puzzles you're working on the one main island. You're bringing your Vikings in, place them adjacent to any other Viking, and then if you're like adjacent to a house, you can take a house. If you've got a link of guys between 2 towers, you get the 2 towers. If you've got 4 people in a chain touching a castle, you get the castle. And then you're putting all those pieces on your own private board, and you're trying to fulfill little contracts. So you've got like 3 little like buildings, and they want certain resources around them. You'll be taking long ships, and they have like 3 different resources that they want around them. And I love that optimization of trying to, okay, well, this city here needs a gold piece, and then this thing here needs a gold piece. So I'll put a gold here and put that thing here. So now it's at one resource is satisfying both of those contracts, and then just trying to maximize the number of contracts you can complete with the fewest amount of resources. My brain just really loves those types of puzzles. And then, yeah, you can try to hyper focus on trying to make certain resources worth more points, like go super heavy on the trees or super heavy on the sheep. And now, instead of your sheep only being worth 1, all my sheep are worth 6. And lo and behold, I got like 8 of them things. So that is a lot of points. So hopefully this time, I'm pretty sure Mike had my number 7 on his list Eric. So that's why I changed my number 7 to Loot, because like I said, the time I played it this month was not with him, so it shouldn't have been on his list. And my number 7, I did play with him, so I'm hoping he'll mention it. If he doesn't, I'll honorable mention it. So
All right. Yeah, I still got a couple more on here I played with you, and then a nice surprise at number 1. Loot is fantastic. This is one of my favorite releases from this year. Definitely is going to be in my top 10 new to me without question. This game just works for me. I love those dual puzzles that you're
Hmm.
working on. One puzzle that other people can mess with, and then a different puzzle on your player board that nobody can mess with. Um, Fantastic game and a great implementation on Board Game Arena as well.
Hmm.
Good pick. Okay, my number 7 is one that I did not play with Bob, so we're finally going to get some different picks here. This is a game that was released in 2024 from Kids Table Board Gaming, and it is Maki Master. So Maki Master is an interesting little kind of like tile placement game. And essentially, what you're doing on your turn is you're going to place out one of these ingredient tokens out onto the main board. Man, there just really aren't a whole lot of pictures of this game, are
Yeah,
there?
right in the middle. There you go.
There we go. That's better. So you're going to place, you start with an empty board. You can take any ingredient tile and place it out onto the board. And then on your turn, you're either going to try and complete one of your recipes, which is going to have those tiles that you see on the board. Now, they don't have to be in order. If they, as long as you have all those tiles adjacent to each other in a row or column, you'll score these points at the end of the game. However, but they are in that specific order. You also get wasabi, which is worth an additional point. But the thing is, you can't always complete recipes. So sometimes you're drafting action cards. Sometimes you're using action cards. Sometimes you're collecting all of the wasabi that is collected up over here. Because every time you complete one of your recipes, you get to draw a new recipe, and that's going to have you adding wasabi to this pool. Well, instead of completing recipes, you can choose to collect all of the wasabi that's in the pool, and each one is worth a point. So the more that piles up, the more tempting it is to, use that as your action. Um, but these action cards are pretty interesting too. They allow you to swap some of these tiles, move things around, allow you to complete recipes even if they're like in a snake pattern instead of like straight across. So just a really kind of clever set collecting, tile placement sort of game from Kids
Mm.
Table Board Game. This actually gives you a lot more to think about than you would expect because you've always got 3 recipes in your hand, and so you're trying to complete multiple on a turn if you can. So you're really trying to min max where these tiles end up. But meanwhile, other people are placing tiles and they're totally going to screw up the chains that you're working on. So pretty clever, plays pretty quick, very easy to teach and learn. Um, Maki Master from Kids Table Board Gaming. This one was pretty fun.
Sweet.
Okay, so now that we figured out how to come up with original games, let's try it again with number 6.
So my number 6 is a great game. I bought it, taught it to many people, bought it for people for gifts. Somehow lost my copy. It got stolen at a meetup. I don't know. Bought it again because I like it so much.
Oh, I know what it is.
But Blank Slate
Yep.
is fantastic. It's a very simple word game. I think it plays like up to 8 people. Yeah, 3 to 8 people. But you either have you draw a card, and it's either going to have a word and a blank, or a blank and a word, and you're just going to write down the person that comes to your mind, and then you're going to compare with everybody else. If you match with exactly one person, you each get 3 points. If you match with multiple people, everybody that match is going to get 1 point. No match, no points. First from the 25 wins, and it's fantastic. We played this a few times just a couple nights ago, and it's just a great way to kind of like pass the time. Everybody, you get on that wavelength with somebody, and you're just constantly matching them with like the weirdest shit. Yeah, this is a great family weight game, intro, good way, filler type game. It fills a lot of slots. So
It does. This is one we've talked about playing on the show before because we could
yeah,
easily pull
easily
this
done.
off.
Yeah,
Eventually that'll happen.
yeah, we will.
But yeah, this is a fun one. I actually haven't played this in quite some time. I'm actually curious. When was my last play of this? 2022. Wow. It's been
Wow.
almost 3 years since I've played Blank Slate.
With anonymous me, Jeff Spencer.
Yeah, I don't add everybody's name every time I play a game. It's more like, how likely am I to play more games with you? Then I'll add you. It just adds time to the whole logging thing, and I just try to
I've
do it.
been getting better at doing that while we're kind of playing, so as to not eat up time like at the very beginning or at the end or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
and it's a good
that's
way to help learn people's names too. So
that's true. No wrong way to log games. It's just my personal way of doing it. All right, good pick. All right, my number six. Um, this is a game I did not really know a whole lot about, and then we actually reviewed it this weekend, and I enjoyed Mezen from Arcane Wonders.
yeah,
So this game has an action selection mechanism like no game I've really ever seen before. I'm trying to. There we go. We start with a grid. You start with a 5x5 grid. All your tiles are going to be on the white side, and they're going to be flipped, arranged randomly. Then one player is going to decide on one group of the same animal and flip them and remove them. All right. So, for example, let's say I pick this group of fish.
you get
So
all
these
four.
four fish, since they're all orthogonally adjacent, get removed. Everything else slides down Tetris style. So these two would slide down to here. These two would slide down to the bottom. Now, all of the four fish that I removed, I'm going to flip over to their black side where they have a different animal, and then I can choose how to put them back on the board. Okay. That is one round. Everybody does that simultaneously. Now, what you're actually working towards when you do that, though, if I can find the scoring cards, you are trying to get these tiles to line up and match these scoring tiles. So you're trying to get, if you have fish in the corners or in the middle, each one of them will score you 3 points. Or if you can get the hedgehogs in the corners, in the middle, they'll each score you 3 points. Or hedgehogs in the three corner spaces. So every round you have a completely different sort of like pattern that you're trying to create with these animals. And I just thought it was really clever how this action selection is done, where you're flipping these tiles over to their black side and then trying to match the scoring tiles that are on the board. This sort of spatial puzzle that you're doing here with its action selection, I just found really unique. I couldn't think of another game that has an action selection like this. There's even parts of the scoring board, like as you're going around, like you get to a certain point here, I believe,
I think
after
it's
the
just
fifth
4 or 5.
scoring card,
Yeah,
every black token you have revealed scores you a point. And then after the final round, every white token you have scores you a point. Just a very unique, simple, clever game that I just have not played anything that was quite like it. So I wanted to talk about it.
yeah. No, I remember watching friends demo this at Gen Con, um, and it looked interesting. I didn't get a chance to actually play it, but then we did play it, like I said, last week to do the review. I thought it was very interesting. Some neat little puzzle stuff going on there. I think you liked it more than either Tim or I. But
I
I
did.
would definitely be open to playing it again. Like it's not like one of those games like, I'm gonna skip it. It's like
Yeah.
I would definitely play this game
Really clever kind of art style too.
again.
Um, I like the use of colors on this as well. So
It looks very
Mezen,
festive.
yeah, yeah, definitely festive. And the use of spruce trees for wilds in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. All right, there you go. So that was our number six. We'll go to the top five.
So my number 5, friend of the show, Jim Cole, made a fantastic game called Zombie Survival Infection.
Ooh.
I busted this game out with my Magic buddies, and because they're all about, oh, I'll counterspell this, I'm going to attack you. It's like let's zombie attack each other, and it was a hit. Like we had fun, like playing politics with the die, the yellow die, and then of course somebody gets infected, and you're like, oh yeah, well screw you. Here's now you're infected too, and yeah, it was a good time. So we actually we played through it, and then we re-racked and we played again because it had such a good time with it. So we always say
I like how dynamic this game is. It starts where everybody is a survivor and you're just protecting your colony and trying to prevent losses to people in your colony. But then somebody loses all of their survivors and gets infected, becomes a zombie, and the game completely changes.
yeah,
Now one player is trying to win, make the zombies win the game by overrunning all of the other survivors that are left.
yeah. I,
Just
I love how you're like working against each other, and you like hate each other, and you're like, you die, you die, you die, and then we're dead, and we're like friends, and then you're working together to try to kill everybody else at the same turn, so that you can pull out the zombie win at the end. That's a great little addition.
yeah, absolutely. Just a very unique take on zombie games. It feels kind of like how a movie or like a TV series plays out. It starts about the survivors and then it becomes more about, well, shoot, let's cut our losses,
Yeah,
Um, and just also happens to have some absolutely fantastic art as well,
right.
from none other than Jim Cole, especially this particular
Oh,
card.
yeah, that's a great one right there. Look at that. Some sexy zombies there.
A very,
Check out
very sexy
check
zombies.
out their website on Only Brains.
Wow, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, my number 5. This has been talked about a whole bunch on the channel, but I haven't played it a whole lot. So now it is my turn. My number 5 was Defenders of the Realm.
Woo!
Yeah, this is the preferred co-op game for me of that whole threat mitigate. There he is. Of that
Yeah.
whole of that whole threat mitigation style,
Mhm,
where you're trying not to allow the enemies to spread too much in
mhm,
one specific location, or then they spread to a different location. And there's just something fun and thematic about rooting for your friend the barbarian to go into location and roll those dice and knock a whole bunch of baddies over compared to, oh, my medic goes over to this location and removes 3 cubes. It's just a more fun game. It's more
yeah.
thematic, and even though it is very similar to Pandemic, it's more fun to play. It's more thematic. It's more exciting.
Yeah.
Choosing all one of those dozens of variable player powers at the beginning of the game feels meaningful. Like
Mhm.
your special power, can make or break your ability to win this game. Much like Bob's choice of removing the taint last game
Or
and
not
barely getting to do
not
so
removing.
cost us the game last time.
Oopsie. It got out of control really fast, in my defense. I did
Yeah.
remove one. I did remove one. Yeah,
Who was that? The cleric?
the cleric.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because anybody can do the action to remove the taint, but it costs you the cards, and the cards are valuable because they can help
Yeah.
you move around the board faster. They help you fight the generals, things like that. The cleric has the ability to remove the taints without having to spend a card. You still have to roll the die and get a success, but you don't have to spend the card. And yeah, the minions got out of control quick. We were down, I think, to the
It
last
happens.
general, and we were about to go kill it, and then we had a couple of explosions of dudes, and the taint overwhelmed, and unfortunately, the citizens of Monarch City now live in a blighted worldscape that there will be no recovering from.
Uh,
Play again. No. But
yeah,
yeah, no, I really hope the new edition doesn't screw this game up. So
yeah. That we've talked about how we don't really love that box cover.
yeah, I don't care. I don't care so much for the art style choice as opposed to this, more futuristic. The Defenders of the Last Stand is fun too. It's a very similar style of game, but it's just Mad Maxy instead of being fantasy based.
Mhm.
And mutations are good to a point. Too many mutations, not so good. But I enjoy the flavor of the fantasy realm a little bit more than I do the Mad Maxy. There are some slightly different mechanisms in it, but yeah, the Defenders of the Realm is the better version.
Yeah, great game. I'll definitely look forward to playing it some more.
So for the record, that was my number 7 that I audibled out of
I
today.
figured.
Because I knew we had played that one with you and you had really enjoyed it, so I was going to let you talk about it. So
I got one more in here that I've played with you, but I don't know if it's going to make your list. So we'll see. We'll
we'll
see.
see. Let's move on to. So my number 4, we have talked about quite a bit recently, but with one exemption. Chicken with the egg expansion is great. It makes it more of a game and not just as completely luck based. It adds a dog. When you roll a dog face, it's worth a point. But if you choose to re-roll, you have to re-roll that dog face because the dog wants to play. If you roll a bark, the bark locks like a fox or chicken head would. But the bark is good because it will basically negate one of the foxes, so you can not bust quite so easily. And then there's a pink dice, which is like the chicken dice, and it'll have like a chick coming out of an egg, and that's going to count as both a chicken and an egg. So while it will lock as a point as a chicken, it will still unlock an extra die. And the other thing that it does is it adds that little coop in the middle where you throw some of the extra dice in there, and then when you add die, you can choose a die from that location, or you can take one out of the seed bag instead. And so that does add a little bit more of a gamify to it. So I'm looking at those big crazy meeples for that game, and I don't think I like them. I don't think it would all fit into the container with all those bigger bits in there. Because I tell you what, that sucker is jam packed right now with the egg expansion and everything else in there. Yep, there is. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I don't have that secondary. What is that? Wood scenery. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Yeah, the expansion I got for Christmas, and we played it, and I'm guessing that the wood scenery might just be like a little fence thing that we saw, right? And then barn piece and stuff too.
Yeah, that was here.
Yeah, so there's the little fence around the coop, which don't get me wrong, I love minis and board presents, but the whole thing about this chicken game is it's just this little tiny container, and I just don't know if that's all going to fit in there.
Now, notice there's also some more wooden pieces here.
Oh, yeah, they're not just little discs. They're actual, like, meeple looking things. And then, yeah, look at that. There's, like, a chicken. There's a silo.
Oh, it's a scenery pack. All right. Yeah, just visuals. Okay.
I don't know if it's got what it does, but, hey.
It looks like it may just be component upgrades.
But that's not, they're not in the game, right? Like that chicken, the silo. Unless they're just player pieces you can choose
from. It doesn't appear that way, and it's not even listed as like an actual expansion.
Yeah.
And Jim's saying it's just visuals. So
okay, cool. Yeah,
fair enough.
Don't need them.
Yeah, it seems kind of silly to like add stuff to this game that you couldn't fit inside of that like can there. So
yeah. But no, the expansion that does fit in there, so no, no worries with that. And adding those extra dice, and then the option of choices, right? So it makes it more of a game instead of just pure luck. So
yeah, this game's fun. It's a fun little light family dice chucker.
Yep, 15 to 20-minute dice chucker. I saw a dude score 15 points in one round. You need 25 to win.
Oh my god. That's crazy. I remember seeing somebody score like 12 in a round, but 15 is bonkers.
It was bonkers.
Okay, so 'tis the season for me to talk about Santa's Workshop, my number 4. Tim and I did a play and a review of this on our channel, And this is a fun little family weight worker placement game. Basically, you are elves and you are building toys in Santa's workshop. You're going to be collecting resources on this side of the board, and then you're going to be using those resources to build toys that you collect inside of the mailbox as like kids' wishes from Santa on what they want for Christmas. So you're collecting these resources, building those toys. There's also a set collecting element where you're collecting reindeer cards that have like special abilities, and the more different types of reindeer you collect will give you more points. But then after 3 days, Santa comes around and he does an inspection, and whoever has built the most toys and hung the most ornaments on the tree will get extra points from Santa. So every 3 days, a round is a day, and every 3 days, you're going to get 8 points if you've built the most toys or put the most ornaments on the trees. Um, Tim made the comment that this game was, yeah, and I'll make a comment about that, Wayne. But yeah, Tim made the comment about how this felt kind of tight at two because you block one of these spots here. And so only once per round are you able to put ornaments on the tree. Now, the ornaments will give you resources, but they stay out. So once you've hung an ornament, every time Santa does his inspection, it'll count towards your total during that Santa inspection phase. This was a fun, light little game. I did find myself wishing it was harder to do these upgrades on the board. I found it is not uncommon to get every single unlock done on your player board. So as tight as that ornament spot is in a two-player game, I felt like it should have been maybe a little tighter on. I shouldn't be able to do every upgrade on my board. It would be maybe more interesting if I could only do some of them in each game. So I bought this game at Origins this year, and what's wild is my copy is even numbered, and it's the deluxe version. Um, so this is wild to me. I have copy 2,886 out of 4,000, and I've got the deluxe components in here. And I was able to pick this up at Origins. They had plenty of copies, and people don't even have their Kickstarter yet. It's kind of unfair, but it's like considering that this company is sort of floating on thin ice, it's kind of like you want them to be able to sell the copies they have. So hopefully that company can stay afloat. I don't know if that decision to put those games out at Origins is going to keep them going or not. But yeah, the Kickstarter backers are still waiting on their games, and
That's crazy.
it's a catch 22, man. It's like if I backed the game and I had been waiting and it's way behind, and
Mhm.
I didn't, so I don't know if they communicated how well they communicated that they were going to be selling copies at Origins. I would hope that communication was pretty strong.
Dabawala.
Oh, it's just the expansion. Okay, gotcha. And that included the base game, I assume. Having not backed it, I wasn't wholly aware of how that went down. But yeah, there are some times where like um and for a reprint. Yeah, so for the reprint of the second edition. Gotcha. Okay. Like, for example, we'll just talk about Third World Studios because we know people there. They were still fulfilling yes, exactly, Jim. That's what we're saying. Charcuterie from Third World Studios, they had most of that game completely fulfilled. And then they told backers, hey, we've got copies set aside that we can sell at Origins, and we're going to do so. But that game was already 90% fulfilled when Origins happened. So, like, as long as it's
Yeah,
communicated fairly,
that's not bad.
like let these companies make money. They need that product for those conventions because
Yeah, those
you know
conventions really sell. They sell a lot of stuff there.
we can talk real quickly about BA Games who really wanted to have copies of Forges of Ravenshire at Origins, and by not being able to sell that game at Origins, Origins was a net loss for them.
Yeah,
So do you want these companies to stay afloat and keep making great games? Then you kind of got to
you
say,
got to be a
yeah,
little flexible.
go ahead and sell some product at these conventions because it's costly to have a booth at.
It is, and like I said, like Third World Studios, 90% fulfilled. At the time you're selling them, not a problem, right? BA Games, like they were all literally coming into port. They're all getting ready to be delivered. They were like a week away from being able to have those games, to people. So I've got no problem with that. But when it starts to be a year and people haven't gotten their games yet, and like that happened to me with Skyrim. I had backed Skyrim, and it's like I hadn't gotten anything, hadn't gotten nothing, and then all of a sudden I'm at a convention, and there they are, and it's like, okay, well, I haven't received any information about it, coming in the mail, and they finally, were able to give me one of those copies, but still, it was just, I don't know, I don't care for that to an extent. So you got to
Yeah,
allow some flexibility, but it's been like 2 years, and I'm seeing this game at my local game store. I'm seeing it here at the conventions. What is going on? Like, why have I not received my copy yet?
I'll tell you one. I saw copies of the Monumental expansion being sold at Grand Con and on Amazon before backers. I saw I saw that months before you got your expansion fulfilled to you.
Yeah,
It's rough.
yeah.
But I will say if hopefully you guys don't give up hope on this game. I found this really fun, cute little worker placement game. Very cute Andrew Bosley art on the game as well, and pretty neat holographic art on the box as well. So, Santa's Workshop, definitely worth the wait. Not going to blow your mind, but a fun, enjoyable family weight worker placement game.
All right.
All righty. Top three.
My number three is quite possibly the greatest card game of all time. Well, that's what it says in the box, but I don't think so. But Flip 7 is still a ton of fun. You see us play it on the show quite a bit. I bought it for my parents. I bought it for my nieces. Everybody, loved it. My niece loves blackjack, so she loved this game. The fact that she can basically play, blackjack with like a ton of people. She's taking it down to her college to play. And people at work, I even show them like, I took it into work, showed some people, and they're like, "This is really good." And people were just, buying it off like the little pitch that I had. And them, tell you what, the op has been crushing it. And the fact that they were giving this like game away in those little boxes at Gen Con was
Yeah.
freaking brilliant. I'm sure they have sold so many more copies because they did that, and people were able to get a sample. But otherwise, it's just very not. It doesn't really reach out and grab you. You're not gonna be like, oh, what's this little card game? To me, like that's just not something I would typically see on a shelf and pick up and play it. But I was given it and I played it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just a ton of fun. And you get rowdy, and it's a good time.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It could have made my list too, but I was trying to avoid the crossover tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I played this.
easy.
I mean, yeah, I did play it with you, but I did play it with a lot of other people too in this little
Mhm.
bit of time. So
That was another one I played on Christmas Day with my mom and dad. They really enjoyed this one. In fact, my mom, who occasionally watches the live stream, requested it by name. She's like, "Did you bring that one flip game, Flip 7? Did you bring
nice.
that?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I brought that. Let's play it right now." So yeah, good times. It's so exactly. It's so easy to get this game played with anybody, and I have yet to find a person that doesn't enjoy this.
Yeah,
Tons of fun. And a really great game to play on the stream. Like it just
lends
caters
itself
itself
to it really well.
perfectly. Absolutely. All right, my number three. Bob showed me this game, and man, I just enjoy this game more and more every time I play it. I just need to get myself a copy of Istanbul, the dice game.
Nice.
I really like this game. It's so simple to play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you're just rolling these dice on your turn, and then you're going to assign them after one reroll. You can use them to get more of these tokens, which you'll need. You can use it to get personal dice that you use on your turn.
I would like to point out that these are wooden dice that are shown here. In the newer versions, they are plastic dice. So fear not.
Ah,
There will be
okay.
better dice in the version you buy than what you see here. Anyways, go ahead.
Whole goal is to collect 5 or 6 of these rubies, depending on player count. And it's just a great game. It's an engine builder game. And
Yeah.
so what you find yourself doing is you will be buying these tiles that either let you uh, have resource tiles or extra dice you can roll, or you can do an additional action on your turn.
Mhm.
And man, by the time you get like 3 or 4 of those tokens, you just have this. It feels like you have these broken combinations that you can create. But then the game still ends in like 25 minutes. It's just a fun, quick, fulfilling dice chucker with really good synergies and combos, and the engine building feels really satisfying in this.
Yeah. Thank you,
Um,
Karen.
this, yeah, this one
Yeah.
made my top 100. I like this game quite a bit. I
Nice.
enjoy this.
Yeah.
We've played this quite a bit here over the last couple months.
Yes.
In fact, I believe I've requested it several of the times that we've been playing it.
Hmm.
So Istanbul dice game. All right, on to number 2.
Number 2 is a very small box game by All Play. It gets requested a lot, gets played a lot because it's mostly just dice chucking, but you are trying to manipulate those dice however you want to get certain numbers to climb up mountains because you're goats, mountain goats, and you're climbing up and you want to be at the top of these mountains where you're getting all these little scoring tokens. And then if you can collect one of each number, you'll get like a bonus token. And there's a couple of expansions there that we don't typically play with, but you can basically take one of your goats off there and like tally up your total of your dice, and then the higher that value is, you can put them on this separate board to get more points. We don't usually play that expansion very often. It's usually just that base game right there. So if you've got 2 5s and a 7 with all your dice you rolled, you move up 2 spaces on the 5 and a 7. Once you get to one of the black spaces, you start earning tokens. If you're at the top and you roll the number again, you just kind of like ding, 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 and keep taking tokens. But if somebody else gets up there, they're going to knock you all the way back down because there can only be one goat at the top of the hill and or mountain, as it were. And yeah, this is just a great, fun little dice game. 15, 20 minutes maybe, and plays up to 5 with one of the other expansions it has. And it's just crazy that it all fits in this little tiny box. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it. One of those little square all play boxes. Amazing how many good games they've been able to cram
Cram
into those little boxes.
Yep.
This is one of them. This one is a lot of fun. Always enjoy playing this one.
Yep.
Um,
It's played a lot.
Works really well on Board Game Arena also.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, another game that literally anybody can play.
Yep. If they can tally up numbers on D6s, they can play.
Right?
Maybe if they can't, you can do it for them and tell them what their choices are.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, good pick. I played this one with you, and I left it off to avoid crossover.
Yeah, this
Always good.
what was I think it was 3 or 4 times. This was I have plays of this. Yeah, 3 times.
What the heck? My
That's
play
in one
didn't.
month. 3 times.
My play is not showing up on BGG. Okay. All right. So my number 2 is actually a Kickstarter preview that we got to do.
Ooh.
But I enjoyed this game quite a bit, and you will be able to back it on Kickstarter next month. So I'm going to talk about it. It's Button Kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
So this game, I actually approached Sam at Origins this year. It was one I talked about when we did our Origins preview. I was curious about this game. I wanted to know more about this game. And then when he had it ready, he sent us a copy and we filmed a preview. And I thoroughly enjoyed this deck builder. So basically, in Button Kingdoms, I could draw a little bit of a comparison to Shards of Infinity, where what you're doing is you are building a deck, but you're actually trying to attack other players. Now, the thing about this game, at least, though, is that once you have knocked a player from full health to 0 health, they're not out of the game. There's no player elimination. They keep playing. Um, in this game, you're actually trying to destroy a certain number of forts to trigger the end game. But forts are used to defend you. And so you've got attack cards, defense cards that you put out. The other side of fort cards is that you can flip them to their other side and they'll actually give you additional attack that you can use. One of the things that stood out about this game was the really cool kind of like sort of playful toy art, stuffed animal art in here, which I really enjoyed. But the thing that really makes this game sing for me, and of course it is only a Kickstarter preview, so I'm not finding an image of the main board, but the market in this game. So in a lot of deck builders, yeah, I'm just not finding anything. That's okay. In a lot of deck builders, you've just got an open market and you use a resource and you buy whatever cards you want. And one of my issues with a lot of deck builders is that's where players get AP. They have to read every single card and they freeze on which cards they can buy. And sometimes they can buy as many cards as they want, so they're going to freeze and read every single card that's available. And then they buy one card and a new card comes out and they got to read that card. And just some people really drag deck builders down during this market phase. And this game has a very clever way of eliminating that. So you got these tokens and you are going to put a token face down next to the 3 cards that are available in the market. Then they're all going to get revealed simultaneously. You have to sell the cards to other players and you put a token down that determines the selling price. Well, if you are the lowest priced token, the person that put down the token that says they want to buy the card buys the card from that player with the lowest token. So if Bob has the buy token down and I have a 6 and Tim has an 8, Bob's going to buy that card from me for 6 coins. But also you can destroy cards. So I just found this market mechanic very clever. There's a lot of interaction and doublethink that goes on during that market mechanic. And while those mechanisms are clever, they're also a great way to avoid the freeze, the AP that can happen during that market phase. And so I just found this game very unique. Our Kickstarter video will come out within a few weeks, and you'll be able to check this out on Kickstarter in February.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was interesting that there were the 2 different market phases in a round. So different opportunities to try to add stuff, and the art was really cool. I really enjoyed the art on that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely like this sort of toyish art.
Yeah. It reminds me of those
Stuff of Legend vibes.
Stuff of Legend vibes, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I forgot about you get 2 market phases per round, so 2 opportunities to buy cards. And each time you're putting those tokens out, trying to guess what people are doing. Yeah, just very, very clever, unique deck builder. All right, that's it. Down to our number 1 game played in December.
So coming in at number 1, it had to be number 1. 6 plays of this game in 1 month. But Sausage Sizzle has been a ridiculous hit with me and my family and my friends and all the groups I've been playing with. Just people love to just chuck the dice and then chant wiener at each other. But it's got some cutesy art by Ian O'Toole. The Aussie-themed little cookout. You're rolling dice. You have to save at least 1 each turn. 2 of the dice have 2 5s. 2 of the dice have 2 sausages, so there are no 6s. You're going to be taking the lowest die that you have and multiplying it by one of the number of a suit you have. So either like 2 kangaroos or 3 crocodiles, things like that. And the trick is that the sausages are either 1s or 7s. If you have all sausages, they're 7s. But if you have like a mix of anything and then you get a sausage, it's a 1. So it's going to be a 1 times whatever that is. So you kind of like shoot the moon and try to, get the most points you can. Try not to crap out, as it were, and roll a sausage when you're going for 4s and 5s. But it's just a fun dice rolling game that we just gets requested, gets re-racked, played again type of thing. And if you have the BG Stats app on your phone, even if you don't track all your scores, I tell you what, the app is super handy because it's got a score pad built into it. And it does that for a lot of the games that are super popular these days that have like crazy scoring things. So you don't like, oh, who has a pencil? Who has this? Check that BG Stats app because there's great scoring apps like inside there. You just touch a little
Yeah,
pad and it'll let you do it. So
that's true. Chris over here shaming me for not reading my geek mail.
oh
Actually, the last 4 I got in an email, and they're like trades that weren't that good. And actually, you know what? A side tangent here. The last time I got a really good trade offer, I accepted it like 5 minutes after the guy sent it over. And then I was like, it was right around Thanksgiving. I was like, hey, can we wait until the weekend's over to like send these games to each other? He's like, yeah, not a problem. Monday, I reach out to this guy. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I sold those games on eBay. Thanks, dude. Thanks. If you're going to accept a trade on BGG, maybe take down your eBay listings. Anyway, Chris not a fan of Sausage Sigil because he sucks at rolling dice.
get better at random things. But yeah,
This one's fun. I haven't played it nearly as much as you guys, but it is fun.
yep, super cheap too.
Yeah, it is. 25th Century. They got a lot of great little small box games.
Yep.
All right. Well, my number 1 was my number 2, but it moved up because of Andromeda's Edge. And man, let me tell you, when we talk about 2024 releases, I'm gonna leave this in suspense a little bit because I know Bob and Tim have not played this game. So I bought this on a Black Friday sale for like $20, and I had heard good things. And I just picked it up on a whim. It's a Reiner Knizia push your luck game. And then here recently, I saw that Jason Smith from the Board Game Mechanics got this game for Christmas and has already played it 8 times, and it's like one of his new favorite games. And so I'm like, you know what? Screw it. This looks easy enough. So I watched a couple rules videos, and then yesterday I played it twice, and I am going to talk about Mlim Space Agency. Holy crap, this game is fun. So yes, you are hat space explorers, Bob. So um here's what you're doing. You are going to yes, this game. Oh my gosh, this game is so fun, Evan. This is just a great push your luck game. So everybody's going to put one of their hat astronauts into this rocket. All of their astronauts have different abilities. After everybody has put an astronaut into the rocket, the commander or the first player is going to roll all of the dice. And on the rocket is going to start in this spot here. Well, the only thing that's going to move the rocket is asteroids, 1s or 2s. If you don't roll any of those things, you've crashed. So, like, your expedition immediately ends. That's rare. All right. But if you roll an asteroid, a 1 or a 2, you group them by number or like faces. You can use as many of those as you want to move the ship. Let's say I rolled 3 2s and I use all of them. I'm going to move up to spot 6, which is here. Now I have a choice. Whoever the commander is can now deploy astronauts onto these 2 moons. That's already happened here. So what's underneath here is points. All right. So you are trying to get your astronauts onto these moons, onto these planets. And if you get really far, way up on the map up here is deep space. And some of these are worth 7 points a pop. So you're going further and further and further. Now the catch is when you use those dice, those 3 2s that you used, They go away. You don't get to use them on this expedition anymore. So now you're left with only 3 more dice that you get to keep rolling. Asteroids you always get to keep. So anytime you use an asteroid, it comes back to your pool no matter what. But as you go further and further up this thing, you're just going to get less and less dice to use. Yeah, it's definitely got a Celestia vibe to it for sure. And then it's like you're pushing your luck and you're trying to go as far as you can. But if you go onto these moons, you get instant points. If you deploy onto these planets, whoever has the most will get these points here at the end of the game. And these astronauts have these different special abilities. Like some of them allow you to start on this 3 spot where this satellite is. Some of them give you double points on moons. Some give you double points on planets. One I thought was really cool is the parachute here. Let's say you're on this 8 or this 7, which are connected to this planet, and you crash. All right. Well, normally during a crash, all the astronauts have to leave the ship. You get your astronauts back, but now the ship goes back to 0, and this track moves up, which is one of the in game triggers. If you have a parachute, you can just parachute onto the planet. You still get to deploy your astronaut. So man, this game just had some really, really fun push your luck, dice rolling, trying to get farther and farther up this track. And the back of this box doesn't even show it. This is a really, really nice mat that comes like a neoprene mat that comes in the base game. And this thing is long. Like this thing is, it's probably like 3.5, 4 feet long. Like it's a
Yeah,
really long mat that you're going all the way up trying to get to these planets in deep space where
but it rolls up and fits in the box, right?
it rolls up and fits into the box. Yeah.
Nice.
And I only played 2-player and I only played the base game. The more players you have, the farther you can get on these expeditions because there's more astronauts inside the ship. There's more abilities that are in play. And I didn't play any of the modules, and it comes with like 3 different modules to use.
Nice.
I just had a blast playing this game. And I just bought this on a whim on Amazon because it was dirt cheap and it was a Reiner Knizia game. So um cannot recommend this game enough if you like push your luck.
Sweet.
Blim Space Agency. I can't wait to play this with you and Tim. You guys are gonna get a kick out of this one. But this one really shocked the heck out of me. I think it may have to make my my new to me list this year. I freaking
Well,
loved it.
I guess you did play yesterday. I'll say so.
I did play
So
it
it counts.
yesterday, so it counts. So there you go, my surprise pick already up on the shelf there. It was super fun.
Cool.
So
Oh
there you go, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our
yeah.
New
Thanks for having
Year's
me.
Day edition of Whiskey Wednesday.
Uh-oh.
With
Woo. Woo. Excuse me.
we did warn you that this was going to be a shorter episode, so there's not going to be a ton of outro here, but we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. So
Sounds good to me, yo.
um it was a good year, Bob. I was pretty impressed you got over 460 plays. That's
Yeah.
man, that's
With that.
impressive.
Is that what I said? 460?
Yeah, that's really good.
No,
I've
well,
never like
459. So I was right at 460. Still.
I have never gotten that many plays in a year. I try to push for 400
Mhm.
in a year, and I've only done that a couple times.
I had 202 plays with you.
Nice. Let's see if that jives with the number that I have.
I don't think you have your your BJ on there.
Oh no, you're right. I do not include BGA.
Yeah,
No,
I
wait
do.
a
Because you're
second.
still. I mean, like I'm not manually moving a piece, but I'm literally clicking and dragging and moving a piece. So
Yeah,
to me, that
I'm
counts.
I'm with you. Yeah, Evan, Bob, and I have that debate all the time, and like it I don't include them because I want to include the times that I'm sitting at a table and I'm touching the pieces and setup is happening. Um, but I don't blame anybody that wants to count I do count Tabletop Simulator. So anytime we do that for the channel,
Why is that
all
different?
you're actually moving the pieces. And plus, a lot of times we're doing it for Kickstarter previews. So it's a way to jog my memory that, oh, I played this game this year for this Kickstarter preview. That's
Chris,
one of
I
the,
don't know if you have a Android or an iPhone, but it's called BG Stats.
yeah,
And it's
that's,
fantastic. You can link it to your BGG account. And so like import like the games you already have. Yeah, mine looks just like that. The icon is like a little
Meeple.
green thing right there. Yeah, like a beeple looking thing.
It's,
Um, yeah,
it's
but yeah,
3.99 or 2.99, but it's worth every penny.
yeah. What one time purchase? It's worth it.
Yeah,
It's
because
great resource.
it logs, just to give you an idea of how worth it this app is. I'll go ahead and plug it here. Okay, so you can track plays, you can track who you played the games with. You can of course put your collection in there. You can name players, you can name locations. You can even log how long you've played the game. So
Yeah, you can do
you can
timers.
hit a you can hit a button that'll start a timer and then hit it again when the game ends. So it'll tell you how much time you spent playing those games as well, which I thought was really interesting.
There's this button
And then,
here. Boop.
yep,
And then look at that. That's a little score sheet. Click in the box, put what people score for things. Like that to me is worth the price of admission right there.
yeah, definitely. Um, Yeah, and I just seeing the stats that pop up like month by month, which months you played the most games,
Mm-hmm.
what player counts you had the most of, who you played the most with, where you played the most.
Yeah, I like putting in the locations for places too. So it's like, oh, okay, I play most of my game. Although the colors are kind of hard to tell apart. But
Yeah, most
most of
of
my games
mine
on
were
Saturday.
actually at my house, but second most was the studio, of course. And then
Yeah.
third most, of course, your house. The other big one that I like is new to me. So
Oh yeah, the new to me is nice, but just my Saturday games. Almost half my plays are on Saturdays.
if you go through your plays and you see that little star next to it, that means you played it for the first time this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely, Chris, log all the times you beat Tim. 100% worth it.
Worth it. No, and
Yeah,
you know what's really good for too is like you have the people who like to talk shit like, oh, I never win, or this or that, and then people like, actually, last time we played, you had 124 points and you won, so you can just shut up.
yeah, I that was the main reason. So I started gaming with a group that was logging plays when I really first got into the hobby. And so I have been logging plays since like 2013. And I just
Really?
found the data based on like scores was the most useful part to me. I've like seeing, well, who scored the most and what strategy did they use to score the most? And so I like that. So because I've been using this for like 11 years,
Wow,
I've got 3,355 plays on my BG stats. It
crazy.
comes in very handy for the channel.
I wish I had all
Um,
that data.
but
I only have 2 years, and 2 years I have 1,033 plays, so it's not terrible.
that is really good. Wow. Yeah, mine would obviously go up if I did BGA, and it's up to you. If you want to use BGA, don't let anybody shame you for it. You're still playing the board game and doing the stuff.
Yeah, it's not like I'm
I
playing
just
like I don't wouldn't track like my solo Splendor plays on the app, right? Because to me, I'm playing against an AI.
yeah.
I wouldn't count that. I don't count when I play my Axis and Allies on my Steam against like a computer or something like that. I don't track that. So
Oh, yeah, Evan, that makes perfect sense. Who is the starting
oh, nice.
character,
Yeah.
which powerful combos. Yeah, you can put notes in plays. You can put what variants you used, which
Mhm.
expansions you used,
It's a great
and
resource.
the ability to put notes in plays. I could see being, yeah, super helpful for designers. BG stats worth the $4. It's totally it makes it very easy for me to do these end of year lists 100%. So that's our BG stats pitch. Not a sponsor,
But
but
they
could
could be. Nice.
So yeah, it was a great year, lots of plays. I do want to say just some channel news real quick. That we will have a table at PoppyCon. PoppyCon is a small gaming convention in South Bend, Indiana, which is where we all shoot our content from. And this is a small convention, probably, if I had to guess, Bob, what, maybe 500-600 people?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So 500-600 people, smaller convention.
Yep.
They moved it to the Century Center in
Nice
downtown
location.
South Bend
Mhm.
2 years ago. It's a really nice location. There's a lot of food that is local. Chris, that is the last week in January. So that is going to be January 31st and February 1st. They also switched it to a 2-day convention. So it's a Friday, Saturday con. So this year it's going to be open from 4 to 11:30, Friday the 30th, and then it's open from 10 to 11:30, Saturday the February 1st. We'll have a table, we'll be teaching games, we'll have our big banner up. So I think it's $30 for both days. Pretty reasonable.
That I couldn't tell you. And I mean, I'll throw this out there. If you're in the chat right now and it's like, you're somebody that we've known and met before, hit me up. I live super close to there and I've got room. So I'm willing to, let you save some money on a hotel for that Friday night and have a weekend of gaming. So
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the comments here. Chris, I don't think there's hotel blocks, and I think,
Chris, hit me up. I mean,
yeah,
you're not
yeah,
allergic to cats and
hit
dogs.
up Bob. Yeah, we'll get you a place to crash if you want to come up for it for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Um, yeah, no joke. Um, I don't think it's big enough that they have hotel blocks.
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
went
think
ahead and put the link. You do have to get the tickets. You don't have to. You do have to buy them in advance now. You got to buy your badges from. It's on the Tabletop Events website, just like all the big cons are. So, but we officially will now have a booth. So that's the thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Should be fun.
All right, Mike, you ready to
Uh,
keep this short or you got anything else?
nope, that's all I got. Just want to make sure everybody knows we'll be at PopCon. Come play some
Yeah,
games
no,
with
it's a good
us.
call.
We'll be playing a lot of the stuff we already talked about today, I'm sure. So that's it for us, guys. Hope you had a great new year. Lots of good stuff coming from us this year. We
I look
will
forward to
have,
a year of gaming.
yeah, a great year of gaming. I will mention again that Sam from the designer of Button Kingdoms will be on the show later this month. And
Yeah.
we'll also have Wayne Kruger and Carlos from the Beans and Dice podcast on this month as well. And then we're going to be releasing our top 50 and top 100 really soon. So
And
stay
then,
tuned for that stuff.
and 50 after 50 will be right here on Whiskey Wednesday. So,
Yep, Sam Barmettler. And it sounds like Evan did some play testing on this. So a lot of
cool.
fun, a lot of fun. Cool. Thanks everybody for joining on another holiday edition of Whiskey Wednesday. We will see you again next week. Bye,
For the board
guys.
game rundown.
Oh, yeah. So, for the board game rundown, he was Bob.
That was Mike.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you guys.
Good
next
job,
time.
Stonemeyer. A 7.3 repeating. Heating.